pretty hard to take exception to Mini's second generation convertible. It looks sporty, and is, yet it's surprisingly cheap to run and eco-friendly. It offers more space and plenty of high-tech features, but best of all, it's still just as much fun to drive as the original. Some things never change. The Mini has turned out to be a bigger sales success than parent company BMW might ever have dared hope. Take this convertible model, which now accounts for over 20% of the marque's sales. The brand managed to shift over 164,000 examples of the first generation R52 model and had even higher hopes for its replacement, this car, known in Mini circles as the R57. Now, with this model, Mini hoped not only to steal sales from small cabriolets aimed at Kings Road cruisers, but also wanted to grab a few from more focused open-top sports cars. For this to happen, the car had to be stiffer so it didn't shake so much over bumps and offered up less body roll. It needed more performance, so a range of lighter, fruitier engines were required. And it needed a fresh design to help improve the old model's woeful rearward visibility. Now, the brand tell me that all these things have been done, creating a must-have small soft top for the fashion conscious. Let's see. One of the key aims behind this car was to create the fun of open-top motoring without sacrificing too much in terms of space and driving dynamics. Now, the first generation Mini Convertible was a pretty good effort in this regard, but even its greatest fans couldn't pretend that it quite replicated the go-kart-like handling of a fixed-top Mini. As to why, well, imagine a shoebox with the lid on it. With the top in place, it's quite a rigid thing, but take that off and it becomes quite wobbly. Now, the same is true when you create a convertible car by taking its roof off. And an awful lot of work goes in, remedial work, to produce strengthening to offset this. And believe me, with this Mini Convertible, they put in a lot of work. It's paid off too. The more thorough bracing used has eradicated nearly all of the scuttle shake. That's that juddering feeling that you get with some convertible cars over bumps that used to plague this car's predecessor. Now, that's easy enough to achieve if you throw so much metalwork at the body that the thing handles like a slug. Much harder if you want to achieve an end result that's just 30 kilograms heavier than the standard fixed top model, and that's what's been achieved here, which is just as well if your budget happens to limit you to the 120 brake horsepower 1.6 litre Cooper model that most customers choose. Thanks to the engineer's efforts, this makes 60 from rest in under 10 seconds on the way to a top speed of 123 miles an hour. But you have to rev it quite a bit to achieve those kind of figures, thanks to a torque figure of just 160 Newton meters. So you can imagine what the much feebler entry-level 95 brake horsepower 1.4 litre Mini 1 convertible must be like. As with the fixed-top second-generation Mini models, the Mark II convertible ditches the Isuzu engines that used to be expensively sourced from South America in favour of the less characterful but more efficient units that BMW developed in collaboration with Peugeot and Citroën. Now that means that we lose the glorious supercharged whine of the old Cooper S model, but its replacement, the 1.6 litre twin-scroll turbocharged 175 brake horsepower engine that I'm at the wheel of here, makes up for that with far better fuel economy and emissions. Rest to 60 in today's Cooper S takes just 7.4 seconds on the way to a top speed of 138 miles an hour, and it puts out 240 Newton meters of torque. There's also a tuned John Cooper Works model based on the Mini Challenge racing car, where power is upped to 211 brake horsepower, and rest to 60 takes just 6.9 seconds. As for that go-kart-like handling, well, it doesn't quite replicate that of the standard fixed-top Mini, but it now gets pretty close thanks to improved stability and grip, plus speedy, accurate and well-weighted steering, and a ride quality that's firmer than some will want. Resist the temptation to ruin it completely by specifying larger alloy wheels. Rearward visibility is still poor in this car, especially with the roof down, but it has been substantially improved in this second generation version, which makes this a far more usable day-to-day tool. For all that though, it's still not the easiest thing to reverse into tight parking spaces. But MINI understand this themselves, is evidenced by their standard fitment on most models of rear parking sensors. With a raised shoulder line highlighted by the chrome strip that extends around the whole body of the car, this second generation MINI Convertible has a much more aggressive, purposeful stance than its predecessor. This Mini Cooper S model sets itself apart through an enhanced power dome that sits 20mm higher than the standard Mini Cooper's bonnet and incorporates a large air scoop. At the rear end, large twin tailpipes, a large diffuser built into the rear bumper and a two-piece rear fog light mark it out. Apart from some rather cheap-feeling column stalks, there's a real quality ambience to the cabin, though the rear seats that make this car more versatile than its two-seater rivals are really only for children. There's some clever functionality at the back here too. The rear boot lid, when it folds down, is capable of holding up to 80 kilograms, so you could use it as an impromptu picnic bench. And if you need to load in some bigger items, then the rear hood can be folded up by up to 35 degrees, so that you can get them in and out more easily. You can even alter the angle of the rear parcel shelf here, so that you can more easily get awkwardly shaped items in and out. The engines feature what the brand calls minimalism technologies, based on BMW's efficient dynamic systems. So you can expect class-leading levels of fuel efficiency and CO2 emissions. It's all down to features like automatic start-stop. That's where the engine turns itself off and on in heavy traffic or at the traffic lights. Things like low rolling resistance tyres, brake energy regeneration, and a shift point indicator on the dash that tells you when to change up. It all contributes to cost of ownership improvements that are up by around 20% over this car's predecessor. Emissions, well, you're looking at 137 grams per kilometre of CO2 for the Coupe and 153 grams per kilometre of CO2 for this Coupe S model. As far as fuel consumption is concerned, on the combined cycle, you're looking at 44.1 miles to the gallon for the Coupe S and 49.6 miles to the gallon for the Coupe. Residuals are extremely strong. After 3 years or 60,000 miles, you can expect to get back between 54 and 57% of what you originally paid for the car. Now compare that with between 49 and 51% that you'd get for a rival Peugeot 207cc. So this Mini looks great, is brilliantly designed, cheap to run, and holds its value. It's even a bit more practical than you might be expecting. Okay, so you could still complain about the rearward visibility or the premium pricing, but in truth, apart from that, there's not a lot else to put off would-be convertible purchasers who need a more involving drive than one of those small hairdressers cabriolets, but don't want a sports roadster either. This car has far more street cred than obvious rivals and is far less gender specific, alright, female orientated. Which will matter to male buyers almost as much as the fact that it's huge fun to drive. A mini adventure then, that could see you living happily ever after.